World Series clinched for the first time in the 63-year history of the Texas Rangers. They are World Series champions. Bruce Bochy, in his first season in Texas, leads them to a World Series ring, his fourth as a manager, a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. And what a game this was as they shut out the D-backs 5-0. Zach Gallen had a perfect game going, had a no-hitter going. Eovaldi was nasty. He matched him. Wasn't perfect, but he was effective. The D-backs, they couldn't buy a hit with a runner in scoring position. And for the Rangers, they add on in the 8th inning. In the top of the 9th inning, with Marcus Semien capping it with a 2-run homer, his second of the postseason. And the Texas Rangers are World Series champs. Back here with World Series champion David Samson. Let's welcome in another World Series champion. Will Middlebrooks helped the Red Sox win a title in 2013. And he grew up a Rangers fan. And Will, now that this moment is realized, what does this mean for Texas as they win their first World Series title and the way they did it?
I mean, how many years? This is
63.
Unbelievable. I mean, this is for the Rangers fans, what they went through 2010, 2011, being out away twice from winning a World Series and it being ripped away from them, how it was. This is great. I mean, the DFW area hasn't had a championship since 2011 when the Mavericks won last. So it's been a while since they've won anything in that area. So for all the friends and family back home, we're fired up for the Rangers.
11-0 on the road. And it's fitting, David, that they win the World Series on the road in Phoenix. 11-0 when scoring first, 11-0 on the road. This is one of those World Series runs that will go down in history as an epic World Series run. There's been great World Series runs. I get it. You're expected to win. Your team had an epic World Series run, and you look at what they were able to do. They score in bunches, and it was who they were in the regular season.
What's amazing about this series, as I look back 2 minutes after it's happening in my head, is the Rangers won exactly as the Rangers are. They were streaky. They would go innings upon innings without scoring. No offense whatsoever. They scored 5 runs in the second and third inning of Game 4 and then disappeared and then reappeared in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, getting 4 runs, crooked numbers, getting their first ring in their entire franchise history. What's going on now in that visiting clubhouse? They're getting ready for a champagne celebration, and Bruce Bochy is going to lead them as the manager of a team brought in with the gravitas to bring this team a World Series championship after spending $500 million correctly on Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, who I must tell you, Hakeem and Will, I thought it was an overpay for Semien, and I was wrong. He has led them to a ring.
Corey Seager, World Series MVP for the second time in his career. He hit 3 2-run homers in this World Series. 19 homers in his career in the postseason as a shortstop. That's 1 behind Derek Jeter for most all time. And look, this is a guy that signed a 10-year, $325 million deal. And I'll tell you what, Will, he delivers a title to Texas. I don't really care what he does rest of contract. You win 1 ring in a contract like that, it pays for itself.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he is just the model teammate, player, defensive player, offensive. I mean, he's just slow heartbeat. You hear his interviews post-game, and all he wants to do is talk about his teammates. He is the exact player they were hoping they would get. When he signed that contract, I thought that was a massive overpay as well, just based off the body of work from his career. But that's the beauty of metrics and analytics and giving you a crystal ball saying this is the player you're going to end up with. And man, look what he's done. And I want to point out, David made a really good point about the Texas Rangers and kind of doing what they've done all year and how they've won ball games. But in the 7th inning, when they scored that run to take off Gallen to take the lead in this game, they completely changed their approach. They've been such a home run heavy team, pull, launch, crushing balls. That's how they beat people. But in the 7th inning, you get a squibber single. You see an approach completely change against a guy who has been dialed in. They realized, I don't know if it was a hitting coach, a veteran player, I don't know if it's Corey Seager himself, someone said we have to shorten up and go line drive up the middle to the big part of the field against this guy because he is perfect tonight. He's not missing spots. He's mixing speeds. If you go up there trying to go deep, he's going to throw a no-hitter because he's got that stuff tonight, and the pitch count was where it needed to be. They went up there, you saw line drive, right up the middle, and then you look up and they score a run. So they were able to change their game, and then late in the game, like David said, got right back to who they are, started playing bully ball and showing us who they've been all year.
Well, and it was Corey Seager that broke up the no-hitter, and that's what led to the game's first run. Zach Gallen, I mean, he pitched his you-know-what off. 6 1/3, 3 hits, all back-to-back hits. Gives up the run, a walk, 6 strikeouts. I mean, you want to talk about a great effort and a loss? That was a great effort. I mean, we were talking about having the 3rd no-hitter in World Series history after having one last year.
He was on fumes, and he pitched over 240 innings, and that's hard on a young pitcher. There's no question about it. He put his team in a position to win this Game 5. The Rangers, this was critical for them to win. They didn't want to go back to Arlington and play a Game 6 and maybe a Game 7, and they couldn't get anything going against Zach Gallen. But they have institutional memory from their whole season. They don't need to get it going in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. They need to do it once in 9 innings, and they have such confidence they're going to do it. And what's a miracle about all of this, Will and Hakeem, and we have to talk about it if you don't mind, the bullpen, the back end of the bullpen for Texas, which we were saying not good enough, can't win a World Series with. They performed this entire postseason. Going into the postseason, they were a big question mark. The feeling was they wouldn't even get out of the 1st round, but their bullpen carried them to a ring.
Well, it turns out Jose Leclerc made his last appearance in Game 4. That was his big appearance to shut it down in the 9th inning because they didn't even go to Leclerc here in the 9th. They went Chapin. Spores closes it out. And you talk about the guy who started this game for Texas, Nate Eovaldi, Nasty Nate, Big Game Nate. I mean, my gosh. You want to talk about stepping up. Houdini. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. But the number we need to remember, 43 pitches thrown with runners in scoring position, Will. In all, the Arizona Diamondbacks 0 for 9 with RISP, 11 left on base. Eovaldi, you want to talk about getting in and out of jams? Houdini.
I mean, I'll say it. I mean, the onions on that guy, right? Like the fact that he can bend but don't break. And yeah, he had a lot of deep counts. He had a lot of 3-ball counts, a lot of walks for him. But that's a product of having to pitch to the edges and live between the chalk line and the edge of the plate, knowing if I make a mistake, that could be the game. And in a game like that, going up against Zach Gallen throwing the way he was. So Nate Eovaldi knew I have to nibble. And the Diamondbacks did a phenomenal job at playing small ball, right? Moving the guys over. But they couldn't get the job done because once they got in a scoring position, Nate Eovaldi just taps into a different beast, right? It's like he starts just locking in that much more when guys are in scoring position. I mean, this goes back to all the way Game 3 of the ALDS in 2018 against the Yankees. Ever since then, he's been this guy who wants the big moment, he pitches smart, and he can turn it on in the big moment.
One of the things that we focus on is scoring with 2 outs. Think about what the Rangers did with 2 outs. 10 runs yesterday.
Yep.
Think about the Diamondbacks today when they had to get the win or they're going to lose the World Series. They had 2 outs, runners in scoring position. They could not get the big hit. Just one they needed. One big hit would have gotten them the first run of the game, and they had 4 or 5 opportunities to do it before Texas started scoring, and they simply couldn't do it. And by the time they got to the back end of their bullpen with Sewald and plus the error by Thomas, they've added on crooked number, game over. 2-out hits, it's going to haunt Arizona, but we should congratulate Torey Lovullo. We should congratulate the Diamondbacks. What they did this season, 84 wins, getting hot in the playoffs, taking care of the Dodgers in a sweep, then taking care of the Phillies in 7. Not too bad a season.
Yeah, they were a heck of a ball club and a heck of a run to the World Series, and a play that will unfortunately haunt Alek Thomas's dreams for a long time will be that play in the 9th inning where the ball went under his glove. Will, I've been there. I know you probably haven't made a mistake like this, but man, in this moment, you got to feel for the young kid.
I mean, I kind of have been there. It wasn't where I booted a ball or anything like that, but I ended a World Series game for us in Boston in 13 with an obstruction play, right? With Alan Craig at third base where we had the collision. The ball gets past us. I'm trying to get up and find the ball. He trips over me. We throw him out at home plate because Daniel Nava's backing me up like the professional left fielder that he was. Threw him out at home, and they call him safe and call obstruction on me. And I got to go stand in front of my in front of my locker and talk to the media about how I cost us Game 3 of the World Series. So yeah, I think about that just about 2 or 3 times every night. I lay my head on the pillow, but not that much. But it will be burned into his soul.
Before you keep going, I applaud you because I was broadcasting when that happened, and I remember saying what a professional that you were in that moment to own it and to wear it. And I'm sure Alec Thomas will learn the lesson that he'll own it, he'll wear the mistake. And in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't have mattered. It was a 5-0 final. A 1-0 would have won this game. But in that moment, Will, you feel awful.
Oh, you do. And, mine wasn't in, it was in Game 3. And obviously we went on to win the World Series. So it kind of got swept under the rug for the most part and forgotten. But had it been in the clincher, in the game where you lose the World Series, like you said, it wouldn't have mattered, right? Because they didn't score a run anyways. They were already down. But still, that was just like the cherry on top of Texas just slamming the book shut, right? And that's going to be remembered as a big misplay.
I'm going to choose to remember the Diamondbacks defense because it was superb during the regular season, superb during the postseason, and then the last 2 games, it abandoned them. Christian Walker with a huge error in Game 4, which led to 5 unearned runs, followed up by the error by Thomas. That is uncharacteristic. But what is characteristic of a World Series winning team is when the other team gives you a little opening, and Will, you'll appreciate this because Boston did it, the Marlins did it. You just give me one little opening and we are going to run through it and we're going to beat you.
And I'll tell you what, who added on in that 9th inning was this guy right here, Marcus Semien. 2-run homer, his 2nd home run of the postseason. And David, you and I sat here on this desk talking about him on Monday. We said he was 11 for 62 with 2 RBIs the entire postseason. What did he do in games 4 and 5? Hit a couple of homers, 7 RBIs. You want to talk about a guy that stepped up when it mattered most? Seager wins World Series MVP, but Marcus Semien in the last 2 games, wow.
What I love to see is when Garcia went down. Garcia misses the last 2 games. They needed people to step up. You have Jankowski who stepped in, got a bunch of knocks in Game 4. But what happened is at the top of the lineup, Semien got hot. And when he and Seager are both hot, and then you've got Carter, who is 21 years old.
9 doubles.
He's 21.
9 doubles. He was in Double-A 2 months ago. He had 9 doubles, the most by a player in a single postseason.
Hey, he's only been able to buy a beer for 63 days.
Yeah.
That's how young he is.
Well, he's getting them for free tonight and maybe for the rest of his life in Dallas.
How about that, though? The guys that stepped up. I mean, you want to talk Evan Carter, Josh Young, Marcus Semien, Mitch Garver, Travis Jankowski, up and down the lineup. You look at the guys that stepped up with Adolis Garcia being removed from the playoff roster because of the oblique injury.
And I'm giving also props as to an executive. I want to say Chris Young, congratulations, going from as a player to the commissioner's office, then to lead the operation after John Daniels was let go. He goes to the top spot. And what he did, and we still haven't called his name because there wasn't a Game 6, Jordan Montgomery as a trade deadline addition. What a great job by Chris Young doing that, signing the starters. And we haven't mentioned the name Jacob deGrom,
right,
who's getting a ring.
He is.
Max Scherzer
is getting a ring.
Both on the Rangers. Both did not really have much to do with winning this World Series, to say the least. So it is a credit to the pitching staff that he put together. The starters, Heaney, what a job he did. All of these are Chris Young signings. Eovaldi. John Gray, who is going to be the Game 7 starter, who backed up Scherzer in Game 3, when they needed him. So Chris Young is going to wear this World Series ring, and he is going to wear it proudly.
He is. And you know who else is going to wear it proudly is Bruce Bochy. I mean, come out of retirement.
One for the pinky?
Yeah. He's now got 4 rings, David. 4 rings as a big league manager. The story is incredible, right? Chris Young calls him, hey, you want to come out and retire? You want to come be a big league skipper again? You know, I'm coaching my grandson's T-ball team. Yeah, why not? Let me come coach some big leaguers. He actually said it was more difficult coaching the little kids than it was the professionals.
Did you imagine Bochy and how big he is with the little T-ballers, how intimidating he must be? That must be great.
Hey, listen, I help with my girls' T-ball. I don't know if you guys ever tried to herd cats before.
No.
Herding cats is what T-ball is. Just have snacks and Capri Suns, you'll be fine.
Well, I think Bruce Bochy got his 4th ring, and he comes back now because Texas, with the roster they have, with the possibility of DeGrom maybe pitching next season, they got a chance to do something nobody's done since 1998 to 2000. That would be to repeat as champions, and plus it gives Bochy an opportunity to catch Connie Mack and get into 2nd place, and that would obviously be something he'd want to do. I expect Bochy, unlike Baker, I would expect Bochy to return next season.
Will, when you look at this Texas Rangers team and you have to describe what this franchise was a couple of seasons ago, they lost 100 games. How did they rebuild? Free agency. Teams do it differently. When you look at how they were able to construct this roster, and every team has different narratives. We talk a lot about the Yankees roster construction. We talk about other teams, the Mets roster construction. They spend a bunch of money, and neither were in the postseason. When you look at what the Rangers were able to do, and they spent money, sometimes you buy yourself a World Series ring. How would you describe what they were able to do from 2 seasons ago to now?
I think a big part of this is, and I think, David, you can agree with this, is having someone like Chris Young, having someone in position to make these decisions on how to build a clubhouse is important, right? It's beyond the back of your baseball card. It's beyond your metrics and your analytics and your swing speed and spin rate. It's beyond that. When you're building a team, and most winning teams have good chemistry and camaraderie, you need someone that knows what they're doing when they're building that. And an ex-player who has the ability to be a GM and run an organization, but can also step back and look at things how players look at it. I think that is a massive, massive advantage for any organization that has a chief baseball officer or a GM calling the shots who's been there, done that. I don't know how you feel about that, David, because you've been in these offices and these meetings and making these decisions, and there's plenty of people who've done it for years who didn't play in the big leagues, and they can do it just as good and just as well. But I think we're seeing the games start to change a little bit when it comes to front offices and having ex-players. The Red Sox just signed Craig Breslow. I think there's 5 or 6 total guys in those positions around baseballs that were ex-players.
Well, he built it in a very smart way. If you think about it, let's talk about the veterans on the team. We talked about Scherzer and DeGrom. Let's talk about the fact that Garcia is just now going to be arbitration eligible, so he's a young player. And there are rookies on this team.
Yep.
You have to know the all-star catcher, the all-star third baseman. These are young players, so you need that combination. The bullpen guys come and go. You build that. Your bullpen in April is different than your bullpen in October. We all know how that works. But very smart for Chris Young to have the pipeline that he has, because that's how you can have sustained winning. Granted, he's got a big payroll to work with, and he was able to sign those major free agents. Building around Corey Seager, not the worst plan in the world, because he's a winner. And you start with that, work your way down, and then you get to sprinkle in DeGrom and have him not even pitch for you the entire year. You know that things are going well for you.
I know we look at the Atlanta Braves and say, look, this is the blueprint. Like, this is how you should do it. Lock these guys up early, this and that. I think the Texas Rangers and what they've done is a really good blueprint for competitive teams of being aggressive at deadlines and signing guys to big contracts, building around these guys. Why can't that be a blueprint that works as well?
I love that he is wearing the hat and the glasses the whole time we've been doing this.
I want to tell you, this hat,
he is not broken character.
No, I can't.
No, you shouldn't.
Well, number one, this hat hasn't been worn since 2017, okay? It's been sitting up there on my shelf with all my hats. It is so tight. I don't know if my head grew or it shrank or both, but I'm in full migraine mode right now, and that's why my glasses are still on.
Do you know whose head would not fit in that hat? Bruce Bochy.
Bruce?
Oh, no.
But he can stand alone right now as the best manager in baseball, leading his team to a World Series title, the first in franchise history. As for the D-backs manager, Torey Lovullo, what a run. What a leader of men. what a guy that you listen to in the postgame and go, wow, I want to play for this guy. This guy, bench coach with Will in 2013 with the Red Sox. He'd been in the World Series. He's had that experience. And I look at that and what he was able to do with this Diamondbacks team. What a job that he did this season. And when we ask what's next for the Diamondbacks, well, they're going to go back to the clubhouse. They're going to take showers. They're going to talk to the media. They're going to go see their family. You know, hey, we came up short. And then they look ahead to next season. They won 84 games. And when you talk about who's next season's Arizona Diamondbacks, how about the Arizona Diamondbacks? Like, they're not going to go anywhere. Like, I know that the Dodgers will contend. I know the Giants will be back in contention with their new manager, Bob Melvin. But why not the Arizona Diamondbacks winning the division? Why can't they be who they were this season?
You know, it's interesting thinking about the Diamondbacks. They were leading the NL West.
They were.
For a good portion of the start of the season. Then they had a horrific stretch, and then they got their act together. They got a little help. They were in it as the wild card, and then they started their run by beating the Brewers, by sweeping them in the wild card round. If you look at how they're constructed, they have actually built it with all young players and sprinkled in the veteran signing of Madison Bumgarner, which didn't work at all, and they were still able to get through it. They were able to get through it because Zach Gallen, they got in the trade with the Marlins, young pitcher, just still arbitration eligible. Merrill Kelly, 4 years in Korea. So think about what that team's done. There is no reason that they will not be back. Side note, congrats to Marte.
Yeah.
Who has the longest hitting streak in the history of the postseason, and his hit streak ended, ironically, like Beltran, watching a called third strike to end the World Series for the Texas Rangers.
Will, when you look back at this World Series, what's an image, a moment that you will look back at? I have one. It might be the one that you take. I'll go first. For me, it's going to be the walk-off. It's going to be the Adolis Garcia walk-off in Game 1. That's what I'm going to walk away from, no pun intended. He goes out with an oblique injury, and his teammates pick him up, and they go 11-0 on the road and win the World Series. That's going to be my image of him, the Seager 2-run homer in the 9th, the Adolis Garcia walk-off in the 11th. What's going to be your image, Will?
I don't think there is another. I think that's it. I think that's it. I mean, he meant a lot to this team in the postseason, and I mean, to obviously the Seager homer off Seawald, who was untouchable in the postseason, he goes up and gets that, and then obviously Garcia ending it. Yeah, it's got to be that. That's the snapshot. That is the short, the video of like that encapsulates this team in the postseason. I mean, homers is what they do, right? Like, that's how they win a lot of games. And for them to make that comeback at the end of that game, Corey Seager, Adolis Garcia, that's got to be it. I can't think of anything else.
Oh, I can. I'll think of something else right now. Something that I've been doing since 2003. The best play of every single World Series is the final play. The final play. When you get the final out, whether it's a 4-3 and it ends with the ball in the first baseman's glove, whether it's a strikeout and it ends in the catcher's glove, whether it's a comebacker to the pitcher and he tags out the runner running to first, whatever the case is, that's what I think about with my World Series. And Will, I can't imagine that's not what you think about. The feeling when you win the World Series, there's nothing like it. And on a night like this, when the World Series ends, it's hard not to go back and to feel the things you felt. And I think about the last pitch of our World Series, and Will, you must do the same. What Seager's feeling when you see that last pitch and that last strikeout, it's the relief. The hug is hard to believe. I remember where I was, who I was hugging, and what happened the rest of that night.
Incredible also game called by the home plate umpire, Brian Knight. He rung him up.
Locked in.
3. That's what it was. Strike 3 looking to Ketel Marte from Josh Sborz. The lasting image, the final play of the 2023 World Series is the Texas Rangers win their first World Series title in franchise history. Will Middlebrooks, David Samson break it down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. An epic run to the ring. Back here on CBS Sports HQ, the Texas Rangers partying like they've never partied before as they win their first World Series in franchise history. Diamondbacks were chasing their second in franchise history and first since 2001. They come up short, but their manager, Torey Lovullo, super proud of what his ball club was able to accomplish. He's at the podium.
But I will. And I told the guys to absorb it and process it the right way. Don't compartmentalize it. Don't put it away. Think about how you feel when you get to that point, and we'll get to that crossroad at some point and be able to say, wow, it was a great run, and we did something pretty amazing.
Other questions for Torey? Go to Jack up here.
Torey, congratulations on a great season.
Thank you, Jack.
Just unbelievable what you guys have accomplished.
Thank you.
I just want to say that first.
I appreciate that.
Also, just, for putting up with us. A lot of annoying, kind of silly questions sometimes, but thank you.
Yeah.
As you look forward to the next steps, I mean, how many days do you think it's going to be before you actually start thinking about next year?
Man, that's a good question. I want to run away and hide for a few days. I want to go camping and just sit in the tent and suck my thumb, and eat ice cream. Is that the weirdest answer you guys have ever had right there? And just let it run its course the way it's supposed to, hurt when I'm supposed to hurt, cry when I'm supposed to cry, feel good when I'm supposed to feel good. But when I wake up on that one morning, whenever it is, could be a week from now, 10 days from now, it's going to be a little while. I know that. I know how I operate. But when it is, it's going to be turn the page and let's go. It's go time. So I think everybody's in that same boat right now. And I want to hurt. I want to hurt because I want to remember what this feels like because I never want to feel it again. And everybody knows that feeling that I'm talking about, whether it's something personal or something professional. You want to move off of these moments, but I'm not going to run away from it.
Third row on your left, Dan.
What can you say about Zach and the way he responded tonight and what he gave you given his struggles up to this point?
It was everything that he could possibly give us and then some. I was Zach watching the way everybody else was. It was no hits through 6 1/3. I don't know exactly what it was, but he answered the bell. He came out fighting and he was slugging it out. I feel like had we scored some early runs, it would have been a little bit of a different outcome. But we didn't, and he kept us in the game. And without him, we wouldn't have been in the position that we were in. The game really was in the balance until the 9th inning when they blew it open with 4 runs. And that's what good teams do. They did that on their own. But at the end of the day, when I walked in this ballpark today, I knew that Zach was going to be our starting pitcher, and I felt really good about it. I know what's inside of him. I know where his heart is, and he didn't let us down.
Go up front to your left here. Torey, congratulations on the season.
Thank you.
That bunt by Gabby, was that something that was called, improvised? Can you walk us through that?
He bunted on his own. We talked about playing downhill baseball, getting a lead. We just felt good about trying to get out front. You can see we were very aggressive. It was the first pitch not the first pitch, but the first chance we had. We stole a base. We executed, got him over. We couldn't find that big knock, and that's the difference in the game today. They did, and we didn't. But Gabby did that on his own. We talked about putting guys in scoring position, scoring first. That was a theme for us. It ended up being a big out, I know, and we didn't score any runs.
Oh. Throughout the entire season, the D-backs have been praised for their defense, but the past 2 games, it was a little bit of a struggle. What was so different? What did you see?
Yeah, inside of the day today and yesterday a little bit, it was kind of a grinding type of feeling. We weren't playing freely defensively, and you see what happens when you make mistakes like that, and you do it against good teams on this level. In the final series of the year, it compounds itself, and it led to some crooked numbers. I'm not saying they would or wouldn't have scored runs, but Alec was just trying to knock down 90 feet and save that guy going for first and third, and it led to a big inning. So we try to play fast. It means sometimes defensively, it means sometimes we make some mistakes, but we've been very good all year long at securing the baseball. The last 2 days we did not, and it showed up and made a difference.
far back on your right.
Hey, Torey, wanted to echo Jack's congratulations and for putting up with us all year. I know it's really tough to look long-term right now and past the pain, but for such a young group that had such a bright future going into the year, to get this level of experience, just what do you think this is going to do for the program going future and the boost that you guys are going to get from all this experience?
Yeah, there were people that were sitting in the dugout that didn't play, that saw a different level, different brand of baseball, some injured players, some younger players. And, I'm just reminded of where we're trying to get to every single day. It's what motivates me when I get up. Like, where does this journey take this organization, take me every single day? And where does it end? I want it to end at the very tip top of that mountain, and we got really close, and I think we tasted it. So I know this team will be hungry, and I know it's gonna take a little time for us to absorb it, but I think you're gonna see a very passionate, hungry baseball team walk into Salt River Field next year and be ready to go. And you get a certain understanding, you get a certain feeling about what it's like and what it tastes like and smells like. You come to the ballpark, it's just a little different atmosphere when you're playing in a World Series. But it took so much to get there, and I think the guys learned what that passage is like. It just takes a little bit of time to figure it out, and that's what amazed me about this group. We had guys that had no idea what they were doing, and they wound up in the World Series. Now that you know, you'll be able to peek around each corner and make sure that you're ready to go. I'm reminded a couple times of a couple things that you just don't quite understand, the sacrifice and the commitment that shows up every single day. Once you get there and once you get that feeling, it's what drives you and motivates you through those lean days of the middle of the season, of the dog days. That's what helps you fight. This group is grown up, and there is a certain type of glue that's going to hold them together now, and that's called something about, it's called, being in the World Series but not winning a World Championship.
A couple more, Jeff, in the middle.
Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you.
I know the emotions are pretty raw right now.
Yeah.
But can you speak to the impact that the team has made on the Arizona sports community and the fans, and the connection now that the fans seem to have with the team?
Yeah. I felt that. I've been feeling that for the past month, maybe even the last couple weeks of the regular season, that this fan base was behind us, and they were ready to go at every turn to root us on, cheer us on, and allow something good to happen. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry I didn't do my job to get us there. But I will. We all will. And we know they're out there. We love them. They can say what they want to us in the good times and the bad, but we know what they want. They want a World Championship as badly as we do. We all bleed Sedona red.
Take two last ones. Second row.
That's the raw emotions right there. That's Torey Lovullo.
Losing stinks.
Yeah, losing does stink. It sucks. The D-backs blanked in the decisive Game 5 loss, and they're going to be kicking themselves. 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position, 11 left on base. But, man, no one expected them to be there except them. And a heck of a run for the Arizona Diamondbacks to come up short in Game 5 of the World Series as they were trying to answer back. And unfortunately, they come up short as the Rangers prevail on the road for the 11th straight time.
After the Rangers lost, 102 and 94, you guys were basically all buying into a vision. And what does that say about the team you were coming to and the people you were coming to work with, that you all were able to buy into that vision?
Yeah, and that's a credit to Chris Young and ownership, Ray Davis. They were determined to get winning baseball back to the Texas Rangers. And when we met, that's what we talked about. That's what they talked about to me. And they did everything they said they were going to do. They went out and got starting pitching, improved the club. We had young talent coming up. I knew this was a good ball club. So, I'm very fortunate, blessed, to come into this. It's such a great group of guys. But it starts at the top. And those guys were committed. And look, we're in a good place now.
Other questions for Bruce? Go to Ron up front here.
For all the big hits that Corey had, it was off the end of the bat, opposite field, down the line, it starts you going. And did you think at all how wacky that situation was, or did you think he had the ability to try to direct it there?
Yeah, that's, I've seen that a few times with him where he catches it off the end of the bat, and, they're on a pretty big shift there, and he gets his hits. He had a couple tonight. I don't know what else to say about the man. He's just incredible. He's the guy you want up there, obviously, but, what he did this season, I got to see him a lot playing against him or managing against him in the National League West, and you appreciate him even more when you get to see him on a daily basis, how good this man is, how committed he is to winning. He plays a great shortstop, but at the plate, he's as good a hitter as I've had in a year.
We'll go back to Ron.
What did the first 5 innings do to your insides? And any point did you think of picking up the phone?
You just got to hang in there because he's done that to a lot of clubs. And he had great stuff. And you just try to wait it out. Hopefully somebody ignites you. But, it took a while to get that first hit. I was getting on Donnie Ecker. I said, let's quit playing possum. How about getting a hit here anyway? And so we finally got that, and things got rolling, and it got contagious. But it's all about our starting pitcher. What a job he did. He was in trouble, I think, every inning. It seemed like the leadoff guy was getting on and having to pitch out of jams, infield in, second and third, 1 out, and made his pitches. He's done this, his whole career. So we had the right guy out there, and thank goodness we had Nathan going today.
Go to Claudia right here.
Bruce, congratulations.
Thank you.
We talked about, you are on a short list of managers who have won World Series. How does this one feel?
It's special. I'm not going to lie, it's special to come here in my first year, with the team that was determined to play winning baseball and never won a championship. But as far as me, that's a byproduct of what those guys did out there and what the front office did. I was along for the ride, trust me. I was very fortunate and blessed, to be able to get back into baseball in this type of situation. I was in Nashville just relaxing and had 3 years off and come back and be in this position. I've said so many times, I'll say it again, I'm blessed.
And are you ready to go back fishing?
I'm going to take a break right now, but I'll get out there. I'm sure my grandson, he's going to have a fishing pole for Papa when he gets back.
Take a few more. We'll go to Bradford.
Bruce, it seems like you are always ready to deflect praise for yourself onto your team and your front office, but you now look at the list of managers who have won 4 more World Series, and we're talking Joe McCarthy, Casey Stengel, Connie Mack, Walter Austin, Joe Torey, and Bruce Bochy. What does it mean to you to be on that list?
Whew. It's a little really overwhelming because of what those men accomplish. I did run into Joe Torey a couple days ago at the hotel and got to speak with him. And I mean, what he did, the championships. But you look at that and that you're benefiting, from so many people, wells dug by others. And so for me to get in this situation, again, very fortunate. But to be mentioning those names, I never thought in my wildest dreams when I started managing that I'd be in this position.
1 or 2 last ones. All right, Boch, congratulations. Amazing accomplishment. Thank you so much for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Bruce Bochy will be heading to the Hall of Fame. There's no question about that. He is the 5th manager to win a World Series with 2 different franchises. Won 3 with the San Francisco Giants. Wins 1 with Texas in his first season. He's also the 3rd manager to win a World Series in the American League and the National League. Not that that means much anymore with interleague play, but the fact that he has won 4 World Series titles, that's pretty impressive. Bruce Bochy in his first season, all he does is win. Coming up.
You guys were really buying into a vision. After tonight, how can you reflect back on what you saw in this team that convinced you that this could happen?
Yeah, I've talked about it before. A lot of it was CY. Just the way he laid it out, how he laid it out. He didn't hide from anything. He didn't shy away from anything. He knew where they were, and he knew where he wanted to go. It's just awesome. This is the vision, right? So, kind of a loss for words, but it's a really special moment.
Other questions? We'll go Steve up front.
After last night, when someone asked you about what you feel about possibly being MVP twice, and basically you couldn't care less, but what does it mean to you to be able to lead this team and to have this honor given to you?
Yeah, it's truly is incredible. But it's not just me, man. What this team did and how we competed and all the guys in there rallying, we don't really have one leader. That whole clubhouse is a leadership. They're all professionals in there, and we all knew we had a job and a task at hand, and we competed and we did it. It's pretty cool.
A little bit further back on your right, Tyler.
Corey, congratulations. I know you're always got to focus on the task at hand, but when you signed on with the Rangers for a long time, how aware are you of the history of the franchise, the decades and decades without a championship? Is that something that is a daily sort of part of being a Ranger?
It was definitely a drawing point for me. I won in LA, and they hadn't won in 30 years, and I saw what it did to a fan base. And when I found out that they had never won here, that was something that intrigued me. To be able to start at the bottom and try and build something and compete, and to be able to do it, it's really satisfying. But it was a lot of trust. A lot of trust from them to me, and me to them, and a lot of trust for Marcus to come. A lot of trust for John. A lot of all these guys that came here and had the same vision. It's pretty cool to see it through.
Did you find out during the process?
Found out what?
Because they had never won.
Actually, after I had the meeting with them. But yeah, it was before I signed.
Go to the fourth row in the middle, Chelsea.
Are these numbers that you put up in the postseason, and particularly this World Series, what you expect of yourself at this time of year, or did you exceed even what you thought you could do?
It's nothing other than winning games. It doesn't matter who the guy is, how you do it. When it comes down to the World Series, it's about winning 4 games, and that's what we did.
Go to Ron up front, Corey.
When you find yourself with names next to Koufax, Gibson, Reggie, do you find that hard to believe?
Yeah, I don't think you can ever fathom that. So it's a pretty special group to be a part of.
And you seem to pride yourself on work hard, be there every day, be old style, don't flip bats, don't show emotion. Is that in your mindset to just be that type of player?
Yeah, that's the what you want to be, right? You want to go out there and compete, and that's it. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't mean you're not trying. So it's just kind of how I've always played, I guess.
Anything else for Corey? We'll go to Barry right here.
Thanks.
Hey, Corey.
Beautiful self up here.
Hey, Corey, I'm just going to ask you the question that I get texted most, especially this whole series. Why did the Dodgers let you go?
Other questions? We'll go to Evan.
I don't have an answer.
Corey, where's the first MVP trophy positioned, and do you now have to rearrange? Do you know what you're going to do with the second one, just in the house?
Yeah, I guess we'll figure that out later.
One last one for Corey, or no? All right, we'll finish it up with Steve, and then we'll go to Nate.
And when you were, how did you the 3 2-run homers that you had, just tell us how you felt at the plate during this series. I'm assuming you felt amazingly comfortable. What's it like when you're in this, I hate to use the word zone, but when you're accomplishing so much at the plate and it seems to come to you?
It's a group effort. The ability for us to pass the baton mentality all year, we talked about it in spring training, and to be able to carry it over in the biggest moments, we said you don't always have to be the guy that day. Which is stress relieving. It helps everybody out 1 through 9, and just be able to go out there and do it and perform it. It's a whole team thing.
Corey, amazing accomplishment. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Hey, great job, man. All right, Nate, congratulations. So happy for you. All right, we'll get started with Nate, another 2-time world champion. Who's got the first question? We'll start in the back on your left, Nate.
Nate, it seemed like you had to deal with a lot of traffic all night. Talk about how you felt and how you got out of that.
Physically, mechanically, I felt really good. I just didn't do a very good job of executing my pitches until I needed to. The leadoff walk to start the game, having traffic, like you said, 1 through 5. And it wasn't easy, and I was able to make the big pitches when I really needed to. Defense was great. Evan Carter out there in left field, he made some really good reads out there and was able to leave guys, leave them on the base pass, so Jonah and I can make sure we got the job done.
Go to Bradford on your left, Nate.
Sometimes starting pitchers will say that they don't really pay attention to what the other starter's doing because they're focused on the other lineup. But tonight, how cognizant were you of how Zach Gallen was throwing, just in terms of knowing you were probably going to have to keep throwing up zeros?
Yeah, I usually sit down in the tunnel. That way, I don't get distracted by those things. It's my job to go out there and throw up zeros as well. Zach threw the ball incredible tonight. Kept our offense off balance for a long time, and that's just one of the good things about our offense. You can't say enough good things about them. They're 1 through 9. They're able to put together quality at bats, get the job done. And it's my job to go out there and try to keep the score 0-0 or until we were able to get on the board, and we were able to add on in the 9th, and it was just a really good performance all around.
Good. Tyler on your right, Nate.
Congratulations. When you were growing up in Texas in the 90s, early 2000s, what were the Rangers known for? What was the perception of the Rangers? Because obviously now you're champions. It's going to be different.
Honestly, for me, I'm from the Houston area, and I grew up an Astros fan. For me, I grew up watching the Killer Bees and, going to the Astrodome games and enjoying that time with my dad. And, now, but to be over here and be a part of the Rangers organization and be able to bring that first World Series championship to us, it's an incredible moment, incredible feeling. Obviously, you start every spring training, everybody has that same goal in mind to become World Series champions. And, for us to be able to overcome all the adversity and the challenges that we faced, from the start of the spring training on, like all the other teams, but for us to be able to come out on top, it's a very special feeling.
Players have always been aware of that, the Rangers have never won it. You're striving to get the first in history.
There were 6 teams before, 6 teams that had never won it. Now there's 5. So for us to check that one off the board, it's a big one for us. And obviously all the guys that are here, ownership, and CY, I give all the credit to them to be able to piece it all together and make it all happen.
I'm going to Ron up front.
As all that traffic develops in the first 5 innings, is there anything that runs through your mind, or you talk to yourself, or are you so locked in on what the next sequences are?
No, I mean, it's pitch to pitch. We talk in between innings, am I making mistakes? I felt like Carroll hit really good pitches. He's not the only one, but you're trying to keep them off balance, and it's okay. If I'm walking guys, that's one thing, but when they're getting their hits the way that they are, it's sometimes you tip your hat to it, and other times you got to make sure that you're adjusting with them as well. And I think that's why we were able to leave the runners on base and not allow them all to score, is because of the game planning we had.
How exhausting is it to pitch with all those runners on base?
It's tough, but I mean, being in one of these moments where it's still 0-0, you go out there and you do want to go out there and go as deep as you can in those ball games. And I'm looking at my pitch counts and watching it climb, and at the same time I'm trying to get quick outs and get the guys back in the dugout, because I know how good our offense is, and I feel the faster I can get those guys in the dugout, the better opportunities we're going to have to score. And it's again credit to our offense for putting up together quality at bats and working walks and being able to Corey getting it going.
Jake, 4th row on your left, Nate.
Just going back to your Texas roots, what's your level of Texas pride like? You as a Texan, does it mean more to have those 5 letters across your chest when you lift the trophy?
It does. Isn't it the only team out there that says Texas? You're playing for the state, you're not playing for the city. So for us to be able to represent the state of Texas, it's an incredible feeling. And I feel like as baseball players, it's always like, oh, where are you from? Texas. And it's like Florida, California. And to be able to say I'm from Texas, it means a lot to me. I carry a lot of pride with it. I do not.
Let's say we go to big game Nate. Nasty Nate. Man, he was big. He improves to 4-0 in 5 potential series clinching games. Big game Nate. 6 innings, 4 hits, 5 walks. Didn't like to see that. 5 Ks. But he got in and out of trouble. Look at this. How about the Rangers are the first team in MLB history to finish 25 games under 500 one year and then win the World Series the next. They also, 2 seasons ago, lost 100 games, and they win a World Series. Only 3 teams have done this. The 1914 Boston Braves, the 1969 Mets, the Amazons, and the 2023 Texas Rangers. Look, Texas Rangers making history as they win their first World Series title in franchise history, and the fans have longed to hear it. The Rangers are World Series champs. We're going to hear from the fans next on CBS Sports HQ. Before this season, 6 major league clubs had never won a World Series. The Rockies, Brewers, Padres, Mariners, Rays, and Rangers. Texas is now off that list. Rangers fans soaking in their first World Series title, and they say everything is bigger in Texas. Well, this is one of the biggest nights in Texas sports history.
I can't even speak right now. I'm so excited. 12 long years we've been waiting. Finally, get one of these. Woo! Yeah! Woo! So excited. I'm 41 years old. I've been waiting for this for 41 years to actually hold one of these up with a big T on it. Texas baseball.
Hey, man, look here. It's been so long. It's been so long. I'm so happy for them guys. I'm so happy for them guys.
So we always swagging.
We cried back in 10 and 11, but this right here, this is redemption. This is redemption. The girls, all they wanted was a parade in the mid-school, so we're excited about that, man. Go Rangers.
Go Rangers!
Drink it up indeed. The Texas Rangers are World Series champions. And here's a look at the odds to win next year's World Series. Sometimes it's not good to be the favorites, though. Braves were the favorites to win the World Series this year. They're the favorites next year. I don't know, but look at the Rangers. Tied for the 3rd best odds with their Texas counterparts, the Astros, who they beat in 7 games in the ALCS. Texas, perhaps they'll run it back, but for now, they are 2023 World Series champions.